Hi lovelies, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Lou and I am documenting my Mounjaro experience. Today I'm going to be going over weeks 4 and 5, which is wrapping up my first month on Mounjaro. If you are coming back to my channel, thank you so much for returning. A lot has gone on in the last 2 weeks, so I've got quite a lot to cover. The key points are updates on my weight, on my sleep and my exercise, what I was eating while I was on holiday and how all of that went down, taking my Mounjaro on holiday with me, and also a hospital scare. So if you want to know more about all of that, stick around. So to recap again, my name is Lou. I am on my 6th week of Mounjaro. I've been doing weekly videos documenting my experience, but I haven't done a video since the end of week 3. And my last video for week 3 was a bit of a downer. Week 3 was really not good for me at all. And it was leaving me quite apprehensive about what my future was going to be on Mounjaro, even though it's still really early days, but I was having a really tough time in week 3. If you don't know what happened in week 3, there is a video on that. I won't recap it here. I kind of just want to leave that in the past where it is and move on. So I'm on week 6 just now. I'm still on 2.5 milligrams, and I will try and give you a recap on what's happened in the last fortnight. The last video I made was on Friday the 15th of August, and today is the 3rd of September. That was towards the end of week 3, and I'm now like day 3 on week 6. To recap weeks 4 and 5 over the last fortnight, I can confirm that I have lost weight. I will go into the specifics of my weight loss shortly because there were a few highs and lows. There were some pretty good highs, but I will get to that shortly. My sleep, whilst I was away on holiday, there were a few nights that my sleep still wasn't great, where I was awake between 2 and 5 in the morning. But there were some nights that I slept really well. And oddly, that seemed to be the nights that I was drinking alcohol. So we weren't drinking every night when we were away in Spain. For those who haven't seen my previous videos, we went away for about 10 days to our apartment in Spain. It meant, minus our travel days, that we had 8 full days out there, which is the longest that we've had out there since. It was absolutely wonderful. The whole holiday, it was exactly what I wanted for me and Billy. Because Billy works away, we don't get a lot of one-on-one time together. Every weekend when he's home, it's usually when he's got his kids. We really don't get a lot of our time together unless it's a holiday. So a lot of it's dependent on when he can get away from work. And just having those 8 full solid days of being on holiday together, it was really wonderful. It was exactly what we wanted. It was kind of a last minute plan. It's not something that we've been planning all year. And yeah, I loved being able to spend so much time with them. So that was really great. But yeah, so we didn't drink all the time when we were out there. Alcohol really messes with Billy and his sleep. Billy, the minute, it doesn't matter if he's been out binge drinking all night or if he just has a sip of alcohol with his dinner, it will dramatically impact his sleep and he doesn't have a good night's sleep. I, on the other hand, I can sleep when I've been drinking alcohol, but generally, it's not a proper sleep. It's more like you're just lying with your eyes closed. You're kind of just resting. You're not getting proper REM sleep. But weirdly, so I think there were 3 nights that we had cocktails after dinner. And on those nights, I slept so well. So this was obviously a little bit of a test to see how did I cope with drinking alcohol whilst being on Mounjaro. And it was completely fine. I know that there's a lot of people that record they can't drink alcohol, that they have an adverse effect on them, or that they just don't like the taste of it anymore. And there's some people that say that it's had absolutely no difference whatsoever, and I think I fall into that category. I'm not really a big drinker at all. Billy isn't either. Sometimes months can go by and we don't have a drink, and I'm quite happy having a drink with a meal if I'm out, if it's an occasion and I'm not driving. Billy's more a case of he doesn't see the point in having a drink unless he's going to be drinking to get drunk, basically. You might not like me saying that, but I think everyone can relate. When you're in your 20s and you want to have a drink, like you are drinking to get drunk, you want to get shit-faced. And I really pay attention to my tolerances now. Going off on a bit of a tangent here, but I'm not a heavy drinker, and we did have a drink before we left to go to Spain, just to see. I said I want to kind of see how I cope with this, and it was fine. I really didn't notice anything, so I'm not worried about drinking alcohol whilst I'm on Mounjaro. And I know that because I drink alcohol so rarely, that I've got no concerns around that at all whatsoever. So drinking was fine, but yeah, just to recap on that, interestingly, the nights that I was drinking, I slept amazing because Mounjaro's really impacted my sleep a lot, but it didn't seem to impact it when I was having the alcohol. So that was good all round. So I was in that instance quite keen, or I was more up for having a drink in the evening, but because it would negatively impact Billy's sleep, we didn't drink every night. So I think we had a nice compromise there, but it did mean that on the nights that I wasn't having alcohol, it would be a long time before I felt tired and ready to go to bed. And then when I was in bed, sometimes I would wake up shortly after and I'd be awake during the night. So that has been a recurring theme for me, and probably one of the most negative side effects that I've had being on Mounjaro is that it's impacted my sleep. But overall, it is getting better. It's not dramatically changed, but I know it's heading in the right direction. I'm happy that my sleep is starting to improve. I'm not going to bed worried about it as much. I fully intended to do some sort of exercise when I was away on holiday. I do have a resistance band in Spain that I took out there last time I was in Spain, purely for just, even if I just picked it up and did 5 minutes worth of, just like a couple of movements every day, but I didn't get round to it. Whenever I remembered about the resistance band being there, I was always in my bed, and then by the time I got up and started doing our laundry or getting breakfast ready, it completely slipped my mind that that's something that I should be doing. So with that in mind, maybe I should make a point of taking it out and leaving it out so that I see it more, and then hopefully then I'll actually do it. Yeah, so I didn't think of that when I was out there, genius moment, but I'll do that next time because I would like to keep up, at least just with the resistance. But Billy was saying, he says, we did do a lot of walking when we were out there. I just double checked it on the maps there, because our apartment is quite far away from where the local restaurants and bars are. And even to get there, it's like just over 5 minutes. It's less than between 5 and 10 minutes. But we were going a longer route so that we could walk along the golf course, because the path alongside where the golf course is where a lot of the cats on the resort kind of reside. And obviously during the day when we were by the pool, we would be swimming as well. So there was some amount of exercise. Excuse me. But I just didn't get to do any of the resistance band stuff that I was hoping to do when I was out there. I didn't pick it up straight away when I came home, and I should have, but I didn't, kind of like in holiday mode. Virtually for 2 weeks, I didn't do any intended exercise. It was more just a case of whatever movement our day entailed, if that makes sense. Food on holiday. Now, my week 3 was really bad and I didn't feel that the Mounjaro was really working at all. And I took my Mounjaro the minute that we arrived, which was supposed to be the Monday evening, but there was a delay. So it ended up being like after midnight, very early hours of Tuesday morning. But the minute we got to the apartment and I was able to, I unpacked. And so I did purchase a travel packet that would keep the pen cool, where it's got cool bags in it. And that worked really well. But when I got there, I did put the pen in the fridge and left it in there for maybe 10 or 15 minutes just to let it cool that little bit more before I used it. There were no issues whatsoever getting through airport security with my Mounjaro pen, and like even having spare needles in the packet. I was worried that this might get flagged up. I looked up before what to do when you're traveling with Mounjaro. They say to take your original packaging because it has the pharmacist sticker on it, which has your name and the prescription on it. And I also had already emailed MedExpress weeks ago asking if I could have a copy of my prescription, which it doesn't even look like a prescription. It's basically just like a headed letter that says we've prescribed this. It's not what I'm used to seeing in Scotland anyway. It's the first time I'm talking today. My throat is like really catching. But I've got a lovely cup of herbal tea and it's really helping. And you can see that I've done my nails as well since I came home. We've set up our apartment in Spain that like we have full wardrobes there and we've got all our toiletries. I've duplicated all my makeup and hair supplies and everything so that when we travel over there, literally we just need a backpack. So I had the items in my backpack anyway. So I took the Mounjaro when we got there. And I was like, I really just want to wake up in the morning and be exactly how I was weeks ago. I want the food noise gone. I want the inflammation gone. I want things to go back to how they've been. I definitely think that's what happens. Some people, when they're on holiday, they go absolutely crazy when it comes to food. For me, I definitely eat what I want. I don't think when it comes to meals, I eat too much, but it's my sweet tooth. It's, it's the cocktails, it's having dessert, it's buying little treats for in the apartment kind of thing. That's usually where I get stuck. But I really found I kind of just went into this being like, just do whatever feels natural. Have what you want because you're on holiday, enjoy yourself. But at the same time, I wasn't treating it like I was on a diet, basically, if that makes sense. Because for a really long time, especially with going back and forth to Spain so often, I've been trying to get out of that holiday mentality of gorging on food that you wouldn't normally eat at home. Like, oh, you're on holiday, so you should be having this, you should be having that, you should be having big 3 meals a day, or you should be having like 2-3 courses a day. And I'm like, I don't eat this much and I don't understand. You want to go on holiday to feel good, to rejuvenate and to rest and recuperate and to have fun. And yet people tend to go away and they eat and drink to such excess that they feel like shit the entire time. And I'm like, what kind of holiday is that? I think that sort of mentality is kind of dubbed into you at a young age, and definitely in recent years, I've just been trying to break that cycle of, oh, this doesn't suit me. This isn't how I want to be having holidays. And even last year, gosh, when Billy and I were away in Morocco with the kids, we were getting up and going to the gym in the morning. I was like, I have never packed gym gear for a holiday in my life. And it was wonderful. We were getting up, like a light breakfast. He needs to eat before he works out. I'm used to working out on an empty stomach. So we would get up, we'd have like some eggs and like fruit, and then half an hour later we would go to the gym. On the way back to our room, we would wake up the kids and then we'd get ready to go to the pool and they would have breakfast. So it like worked out great. I'm going off on tangents again. Where was I? The food on holiday. When I came home and I was talking about the holiday to my family and they were like, oh, how did you get on with the food? I was like, I thought I would have ate a lot less. I kept finishing my meals and I was a bit like, how is it that I can finish these meals? Surely I shouldn't be able to eat so much. But then when I actually thought back on it, I clearly wasn't being mindful enough because there was actually only one meal that I cleared my plate. And that was the first time that we ate out. And that was my favorite meal. So that's oh my gosh, the Italian restaurant on the resort does this amazing sea bass with like ratatouille vegetables and potatoes. And oh my gosh, it is to die for. Billy is a meat man and he loves his steak. He loves beef. He loves any kind of meat. But I remember one time he had like a beef tenderloin or something. And I had this fish and I was like, do you want to try it? I was like, it's my favorite meal. I've been having it here for years. It's really wonderful. He tried it and he could not stop raving about it. He was like, oh my gosh, that is so good. He says, I actually prefer that over my beef, which was like, holy shit, like that's a lot coming from Billy. And And then I think like the next 3 times that we've been there since that time, he's ordered it. We both ordered it the first night that we went out, and like hands down, it was like one of the best meals that we'd ever had. And he just said that is up there with like my top 3 favorite meals ever. So I definitely cleared that plate, and I am not guilty about it at all. It is so worth it. It's so big. It's reasonably quite healthy for you as well. I mean, it is fish. But the rest of the time, I actually didn't finish my meals at all. I would always leave something on my plate, and I grew up in a clear plate household. So especially if you're out and you're paying a lot for your food as well, it's like you kind of want to feel like you're getting your money's worth, which just again, stupid mentality that we grew up around. I actually left a lot of food. I didn't clear my plate. I don't know why I had it in my head that I did. And where normally I would be wanting like a pudding after, I would be wanting something sweet, like always something chocolatey based is what I would like. There was one evening that I thought, do you know, just a scoop of ice cream would do me. And like, I have never in my life been satisfied with just a scoop of ice cream. And I thought, this is wonderful. This is great. This is what it's like for normal people who don't have food issues, that don't have struggles with their weight, that when they think, I can just have something sweet after my meal. Yeah, a little scoop of ice cream will do me. That's it, fine. I know that before, that just wouldn't have satisfied me. There would have been an urge and a hunt that that's not enough. I need chocolate. I need, like, my biggest go-to, especially when I'm abroad, is I like wafer chocolate. My dad calls me an absolute wimp about it. He says you're just eating air. It's like cardboard, but like rather, I don't know what it is. There's something about the lightness and the chocolatiness of it. And it really, I love that. Like caramel wafers and like buenos and things like that. When you go abroad, like they always have the most amazing chocolate wafer thing. So that was usually and we had that in the apartment. I also bought a bar of chocolate, you know, like the kind of bars that you get that are like this big, that have like 18 squares in it. I mean, I could easily have ate half of that in one sitting. I bought a bar of chocolate like that. It was a Milka bar with almonds in it. I mean, my favourite is hazelnuts, but I couldn't get one with hazel. Whenever we would sit in the evening and I would have a piece of chocolate, I was just taking off like 3 or 4 squares, like maybe 3 squares at a time. And at the end of the holiday, there were 6 squares left and I binned it because I didn't want it. Like, I binned chocolate. That's never happened before. I think it's crazy. Billy couldn't eat it because he doesn't like nuts, but I was like, normally I would be like, oh, I'll put that in my bag, I'll maybe have it on the plane, but no, I just looked at it and I thought, I don't want that and I'm not going to eat it, so I'll just bin it. So big revelations around the sweetness on holiday. Really, really pleased with how it went. I had breakfast in the apartment every day. Every second day I would make like a big breakfast, and it was, Billy had bacon and eggs and toast. I had just eggs with toast, and it was like every day I was making, every time I would make that, every second day my portion was getting smaller and smaller. The days in between that, I was having beautiful seeded bread that I get out there, and it's like really small slices. And I was having that toasted with peanut butter, half a banana mashed on top, sprinkled it with cinnamon. I would have that and a little bit of dry cereal. Snack during the day, I would have a yogurt to help my stomach and some watermelon or kiwi, just like some fruit, just really nice, refreshing, because we would come in from breaks at the pool and it was so hot. I mean, it was like early to mid 30 degrees, but because it was so humid, it felt like it was near 40. And in the evenings, so we had the Italian one night. One night we even went to the Indian. I had to message my family. I was like, I actually went to an Indian restaurant and had a meal because I don't eat Indian food. I cannot eat, I really don't like cumin or coriander, which is like the essence of any kind of curry. There is such a massive cuisine out there between Indian food and like Thai food. I grew up not being able to eat spicy foods. I couldn't handle the heat of spicy foods. I have a much better tolerance now for some things that are spicy, but essentially when it comes down to spices, I cannot stand fresh coriander, and I really don't like cumin. And cumin, it's a real strong curry flavour, and it's in pretty much every curry, and I can't eat it. And I was like, surely there's something on the menu that I can have. And there was something on the menu, and I'm going to really struggle to pronounce it. It's like Kumbuala. It's like Kumbuala. I'll try and write it so that you know what I'm talking about. But it's like a creamy mushroom chicken. So I had that with rice and the naan bread, and I mean, they do give big portions, so I didn't eat it. I gave Billy about a third of my chicken. I had about a third of my rice. I had less than half of the naan bread because I remember giving more to Billy. And it was good because every night when we would walk back to the apartment, my stomach didn't feel like it was going to burst. I didn't feel like that fullness where like I'd had a Christmas dinner. I just felt satisfied. I was like, I actually feel like I can walk and I can suck my stomach in, and like I feel fine, and I'm not struggling or uncomfortable in any kind of way. So that was wonderful. And there's a Greek restaurant there that we tried, and I wasn't overly keen on my main. I had like two skewers, one was pork and one was chicken. It was okay, but it came with chips. I actually think that is the only time we ate chips on holiday. It was that one meal. I left food on my plate there. And then in our last time out, we were back at the Italian. I had a lasagna. Unfortunately, it was a bit undercooked, and I can't, even if it had been cooked perfectly, I had it in my head, you might only manage half of this, because when you eat a lasagna in a restaurant, it's generally quite filling anyway. So Billy happily lapped up the rest of my food. I didn't have very much of that at all, but I didn't go home feeling hungry. And so I was very conscious that after my meals, I was wanting to go home and have something sweet. And I kept saying to Billy, why is my sweet tooth still there? Like, why? I really wish my sweet tooth wasn't kicking in as much. But what I will say is that before, with my sweet tooth, it was kind of like the hunt is on. Like, you will do whatever it takes until you get whatever it is that was going to satisfy your sweet tooth. Whereas when I was out there, it was really just a thought. It was I could have something sweet, and that was it. There was nothing else that would go with it. And it was kind of like, if something happened and like we got diverted, or or you went home and there was no chocolate, you wouldn't be like in a mood, or like, I need to go to the shop to get something. It would just be like, oh well, I haven't got any. So that was that. And my period was due. And usually on the week running up to my period, that's when my cravings kind of heighten and get a little bit more strong. On reflection, I realised that I actually have ate a lot less than what I normally would when being on holiday. I was still managing to keep up with my fasting. I was fasting for a minimum of 14 hours every day. My average is around 16 to 17 hours. But given that we were eating out late, I was like even surprised that I was still managing to like meet 14 hours. Bowel movements, they were fine. I was going regular. Not really much to update on that. I can get quite constipated on holiday, and I wasn't this time either. Most days I was going twice a day, which was great. Once I had loose bowels, but most of the time they were going really well. So that was fine. So getting back from the holiday, we left the apartment at 3 in the morning. Our flight was at 6, and it meant that we didn't get home till about 9 o'clock. Yes, I think it was between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Thankfully, I slept on the plane most of the way. I don't usually get to do that, but I was so tired. So managed to sleep on the plane, and I knew that on the Wednesday that we got back, I wasn't going to weigh myself. I thought I'll just wait till the following morning on the Thursday. My period was due on the Wednesday. It didn't actually come until Thursday evening. Weighed myself, and throughout my holiday, I lost 1.8 pounds, which I think given everything, given that I was gaining before I went, like I said, I was eating whatever I wanted. I wasn't dieting when I was on holiday. I wasn't exercising. My sleep was still a bit disrupted. I was having alcohol. I'd just been traveling. I was waiting on my period, inflammation, all this kind of stuff. I was on the scale and I thought, it's not a lot, but it's a loss. Like at least it's not a maintain and it's not a gain. Because before the holiday, I was having a lot of gains and that was really disheartening. I was like, that is a success. I was trying to recall, have I ever actually lost weight on a holiday before? I think maybe once when I was on a retreat, but that was a fitness retreat. So I kind of expected to lose weight after that. I lost 1.8 pounds. And the day I was weighing myself, it was the 28th. And I thought it's actually a month to the day since I started Mounjaro. I have a daily tracker on my laptop where I will input my weight every day. I have a booklet that I keep. It's something that I created for me and Billy years ago, which has all my measurements in it. And it also has my weight in it. I only ever update it as and when I take my measurements, which I'm hoping to do on a monthly basis from now on. And I also have an app on my phone that I can put my weight and my measurements into. This will show me graphs and things. I don't update it often. I'm committing now to update it once a month. But mainly I use my tracker on my laptop, which I might share one day because I really like how I've set it up. The day that I started Mounjaro, I took my measurements and my weight and I updated my little booklet. I said to Billy, will you help me with doing my measurements because I want to take them every month? So he was taking my measurements and then we would write it in the book and then I would compare it to the measurements from the month before. And there would be a few bits that I would look at that the number was different. And I was like, that can't be right. And I'm looking at Billy and I'm like, give me the tape. I was like, I'm thinking he can't have measured me at the same bit that I measure myself at. So I would get the tape, I would measure it, I would check it, and then I would look in the booklet and I was like, oh shit, it's actually like he did it right. He did measure me properly. And I kind of looked at it, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like it just seemed too good to be true. And then I would go to another bit and the same thing happened again. I'm like, there's no way he measured me properly. Give me the tape. And I would measure myself again and I would look and what he'd wrote down was right. And I was like, I do everything I can to not use the phrase I can't believe or I don't believe. But I was looking and I was seriously stunned. And I was like, okay, so tallied everything up. And even Billy looked at it and he went, shit, that is a lot. I was like, that is a lot. That is a lot. So in 1 month of being on Mounjaro, I had lost 5.2 pounds in weight and I lost 12 inches. Which even saying that out loud now, I'm like, how is that possible? I said, how when I've only lost just over 5 pounds, I've lost 12 inches off my body and 7 of those are all from my abdomen area. So I think from my waist, around my stomach and around my hips, it's like 3, 3 and 1. So I honestly, it was so, I don't want to say I can't believe it, but I was really just like, give me the tape. Like, I need to make sure that this is right. And I was measuring again and I was like, oh my God. So I was absolutely thrilled. It was really making me feel so much better about the weight loss because when you first read up about Mounjaro and people that are taking Mounjaro, you keep seeing things like, oh, I lost a stone in my first month, or I lost 10 pounds in my first month, I lost 8 pounds in my first week, and all this kind of thing. And I've been like, there I was in the first 2 weeks, I was doing really well. Week 3 went totally to shit for me. And then I was away and I came back and I was like, all right, I'm down by 1.8. And like overall, like in a month, I've only lost 5 pounds. And I'm like, well, you are aiming for 1 to 2 pounds a week and you've achieved that. Like, you shouldn't let that get you down. We definitely shouldn't be comparing ourselves to other people. It's not what I want to do. And I don't usually do that. I know that with me and my body, I'm up against so much more than the average person. But 12 inches? Oh, I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. And even to make Billy surprised, he was like, whoa, shit, like that is a lot. And I said, what does it mean if you lose more inches than weight? We were kind of like, oh, well, I said, because I've not even exercised for 2 weeks. I said, and surely at the moment I'm probably at the puffiest that I'm going to be because I'm waiting on my period coming, and like I'm just back from traveling and flying and everything, and my inflammation's all up and I've not exercised, and you go over all these reasons to try and justify. So I googled it, and it says losing more inches than weight is usually a positive sign indicating that you are losing fat and gaining muscle in a process called body recomposition. And I was like, oh, that is good news. I don't know if that's what's happening with me, but my body and my shape is changing. I really just wish the scales would start reflecting how I look and feel. In one way, I'm glad they don't, because when people find out my weight, they're always like, whoa, you don't look like you weigh that much. So apparently I carry my weight very well, but still it was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have lost 12 inches and 12 pounds? But, regardless, I am making progress. And I thought, even if I continue to get those sort of results on a month by month basis, I mean, by the end of the year, by Christmas times, that's 25 pounds. That's nearly 2 stone. That is more than what I would have lost if I wasn't on Mounjaro. So yeah, it's like, obviously I want big numbers. I am happy with the results that I'm getting. And in 12 months, 12 inches blew me away. I was not expecting that. And it was a really good result. And it really got my motivation going. It's made it all worth it. And I'm really happy with my results and how it's all gone down. So good news for me. Very happy with that. And to anyone out there that is doing Mounjaro, and maybe perhaps you're like me where you're not getting very good results, if you're not taking your measurements, I wholeheartedly recommend that you do. Especially, it's going to come really useful when we have our plateaus, because they will come. It will be inevitable where for a couple of weeks our weight is going to stay the same. And that is usually when people start to measure themselves and that they realise, that happened to me last year. So after I'd been on my fitness retreat and I was doing this program, I was really increasing my fitness, and I changed my diet, and I was following this food plan and this exercise regime. For 6 weeks I was doing it, and I lost weight in the first 2 weeks, and then I didn't for 4 weeks. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? And although I wasn't losing any weight, when I checked my measurements from when I started to where I was after 6 weeks, I'd lost a total of 25 inches all over. And so again, that's like body recomposition. I've always said my body loves holding on to my weight. Like, it just does not want to part with it. So, and like, people are asking if I notice it anywhere. I definitely can feel around my ribs. So under where my bra sits, like at the very, very top, just above my waist, I know that I can feel there's a difference around there. I think there's a difference on my back. My back's looking kind of less rounded, a bit more straight. And I think I can see it on my face as well. The lighting here isn't very good. My neck looks pretty big with the lighting. But I definitely think from when I was first taking videos, I can see a difference in my face. Maybe not in the videos, but definitely when I'm walking around the house and I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, I can see a difference on my face. And bless her, I was with my mum the other, what day was it? Today's Wednesday. We were out on Monday. We were grabbing some lunch somewhere. And just as we were sitting talking to each other, she says, your face looks completely different. And I was like, I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. But she said, she says, I can notice it. And usually she's always the first to notice it as well. So yes, I was really happy about all of that. And to wrap up the week or the fortnight, so I had a little bit of a scare, a bit of a hospital scare. Friday morning before midday, I felt a pain in my back. It was in my back, on my right, in the middle, about an inch or two below where my bra strap sits. It was kind of lingering for about half an hour, and then it went away and I didn't think anything of it. Saturday morning, that pain came back and it was really persistent. It wouldn't budge. And initially it felt like muscle pain. I was doing all these kind of movements and stretches, and I was like, it doesn't actually matter what way I move or stretch. Nothing is targeting that. I thought, maybe I'm sitting funny on the couch. And then I came upstairs and I was on the laptop and it wouldn't go away. And I thought, what is in that area? And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's where my kidneys are. I thought, oh my God, oh no. I was like, don't, please. And the thing is when we're on Mounjaro, we're told to watch for gallstones. When you get pain in your gallbladder, I know this because my dad and my brother have a really bad history with their gallbladders and they've been removed. My dad had a very, very serious incident with his where he nearly died as a result when his gallbladder ruptured. Because it made a mess of his internal stomach lining. And my brother, his kept becoming inflamed. Because it was inflamed, they couldn't operate on it. So they said, we need to get the infection or the inflammation under control. And in the meantime, you're on the waiting list to have it removed. And he's since had it removed. But I know from them that when your gallbladder goes, you feel the pain in the front, you also feel it in the back, and you can feel it in your shoulder as well. I wasn't getting any of that. I just had pain in my back. And I'm like, right, what else is in that area? I know that my kidneys are in that area and your pancreas is in that area. I was like, oh shit. These are the things that they tell you to look out for when you're on Mounjaro. You really need to be careful and keeping like an eye on these things. So I was swithering back and forth. I thought, on the pain scale, I'm a 1 or a 2. It's not unbearable. It's just that I'm aware and it's persistent and it doesn't seem to be going away. And it was very much like, what do I do? This was Saturday. So it's like, do I ride it out until Monday? And if it's still there, contact my doctor and go down that route. Or do I call NHS 24, go over my symptoms with them, and hopefully they can rule it out and it's absolutely nothing. Like, all that I wanted to happen was to hopefully just be told, don't worry, it's not what you think it is, and it will go away and you'll be totally fine. Wishful thinking. And I think for like an hour, I was like, oh, I'm going to phone them. And then, no, I think you're being hasty. Just try and ride it out. You should be fine. Then it would really start to hurt. I'm like, no, I need to phone them. I was doing this back and forth for ages. Eventually I phoned them. I got through to a nurse, went over all my symptoms, and basically I was able to confirm absolutely nothing else has changed. My urine hasn't changed, my bowel movements haven't changed. Like, they were asking if I'd done any heavy lifting, they were asking if I'd been anywhere outside the EU in the last 12 days and all this kind of, and I was like, I'm not getting headaches, I don't have a fever, I don't have a cough. I was like, I'm not getting pain anywhere else. It's just this one area. And I explained to them as well, I says, I've got fibromyalgia. I'm used to getting aches and pains in random parts of my body for no reason at all. I was like, but I have never, ever had pain in this area before. And it is so specific and it's persistent. I really just want to be told it's nothing, don't worry about it. And she said, it doesn't sound like anything serious, but I'm going to get a doctor to call you anyway. So a doctor called me back and he said, again, like, it doesn't sound like anything serious is going on. He says, but it really just would be better if we were able to examine you. He says, we need to check your urine and we need to do like a full physical to find out if anything is going on. And I was like, I'm totally fine with that because hopefully it will come back that everything's fine. He's got me an appointment for just after 5 at the hospital. So out of hours doctor's appointments are at the hospital on the weekends. So at this point, like, I tell Billy what's going on, and his daughter's with us as well. And by this point, she doesn't know that I'm on Mounjaro. So I just explained to her that I've got this pain and I need to figure out what's going on, because if it is my kidney, it's serious. You know, when anything goes on with your kidneys, it's pretty damn serious. So we go to the hospital. I give a urine sample, which turned out to be fine. And by this point, I've got my period, and they were asking, are you menstruating because there is blood in your urine? Was asked lots of questions that I'd already gone over twice on the phone, and she got me to do different movements, and then she was feeling all different parts of my back. She says, I'm not going to check your abdomen because I think everything is fine there. But I actually, because I know that I have gallstones, I was like, actually, would you mind, just for peace of mind, could you check? She had a good feel around, and she listened to it with the stethoscope. And what else did she get me to do? Well, she checked my vitals, and oh my days. So she says, all your vitals are great. So I had 98% oxygen. My blood pressure was 127/82. She says that's really, really good. And even better is that my resting heart rate was 63. Now, last year when I came back from my fitness retreat, it was up at 68. Over 4 weeks, I'd got it down to 58. I haven't checked it in a really long time. But remember, at this point, I hadn't done any exercise either for like 2 weeks. And she says, your resting heart rate's 63. And I was like, that's quite good, isn't it? And she was like, that's very good. I was like, wow. I was like, my vitals are like really good. Like, that was really good news. It was just good to know. And she checked over everything, and she said, there are no signs that anything is going on with your kidneys. I was like, thank God. I was like, and anything else? She says, no. She says, I really think what you're feeling is muscular pain. And I was like, I feel bad in that instance for like wasting time. She says, you absolutely done the right thing. She says, because you're on the Mounjaro, it was right to be keeping an eye on what was going on in these specific areas. She says, you definitely done the right thing because it's not something that you're used to or that you've felt before. And I thankfully got the result that I wanted. That don't worry about it. It's absolutely fine. It's going to go away on its own. It's nothing serious. But just a bit of a experience, the whole thing. But I feel so much more comfortable and confident doing the Mounjaro, having had that check. Because by this time, it was like towards the end of my 5th week of doing it. I haven't had any gaps in doing it, just because I know there is a slight risk there, because I've already got gallstones. Like, it was this wonderful confirmation that everything is going fine and that I don't have anything to worry about. If you're curious about my history with gallstones, check out my week 3 video, the downer video, where I go into all the detail about that. I have had it authorized by my doctor that I can do Mounjaro. So please, for anyone out there that thinks I'm taking an unnecessary risk, I have done all the appropriate checks. For anyone else out there in the same situation, I am not a health professional. Please don't take that just because I'm doing it, it means that anyone can do it. If you have gallstones and you want to go on Mounjaro, please speak to your doctor. That's exactly what I did. And it's only because of the history that I have and that my doctor is aware of that we were able to come to a conclusion to start Mounjaro and do it. Like, just like what happened then, if anything was going wrong and I was unsure, I followed the protocols, I got it checked out, and I've been fully checked out and everything's fine. So yes, overall an interesting fortnight. I'm really happy with how the last 2 weeks have gone. I had a wonderful holiday. I had the most amazing time with Billy. Oh, it was so good. Like, he doesn't have any time off now until Christmas. So, but we do have things going on between now and then. We've got a few trips and a few things planned, but he won't actually be home officially on holiday until Christmas time now. So that's pretty much it. There was a lot to review there, and hopefully my progress continues at the rate that it's going. Has anyone had a similar experience where they haven't lost any weight but they've lost lots of inches? If so, how often do you measure yourself? Just be really interesting to hear what other people do. Yeah, so if you haven't already, please check out the rest of my channel. There's a little bit of a mixture there. It's not just Mounjaro based. And if you want future updates, you know what to do. Please subscribe. In the meantime, I'm going to be making more videos later today. I've got a really busy week. I'm hoping that the week 6 update is going to be pretty interesting compared to the others. So a lot's going on just now. And in the meantime, take care. Thanks. Bye.